Hello and welcome to the Builder's Bench, where we break down common issues with today's automatic transmissions. With me here is Rino Partipilo from ATSG, who's our technical expert for this series.
How you doing, Alex?
I'm good, how are you?
Good. We might get a 10R80 that comes into the shop or comes back to the shop with a converter failure. One of the telltale signs of a converter failure is, if we take a look at this picture over here, is the converter can be actually purple, like you see over here. That actually can be due to a missing cup plug on the input shaft. Now, when one of these units come into the shop and actually has a purple converter, and even if it's not purple, we want to make sure we do a couple tests on this thing just to make sure we don't have a problem with that input shaft. One of the tests is to do is, and it's kind of a little bit tricky because the way this trans is actually set up, is we're going to remove the valve body, and then as you can see over here, I've marked off where we have a C, D, and F apply holes on there. What you can do is take a shotgun, the air gun to it, and blow air inside there. When you blow air into those 3 ports over there, no air should be coming out of the 4 holes that are on the front of the input shaft, okay? Now, one thing that happens on these things is when you blow air inside there, one of those cup plugs can be missing. What happens is when one of those cup plugs are missing, it actually sends apply oil to the torque converter clutch and causes it to apply when it's actually not supposed to.
Okay, yeah, gotcha. So there's a bit of an unconventional trick for telling if this is the case, isn't there? What kind of shop equipment does that involve?
Well, to tell you the truth, it's not really much of a shop equipment. It's a simple thing of using a coat hanger.
Oh, really?
Yep. Coat hanger works perfect out in one of these things. So the unconventional way of doing this thing, to checking this thing, is actually using a coat hanger. Now there are 4 holes on the tip of that input shaft. 1 hole is actually converter clutch feed, and so if you put this coat hanger into that hole, you should actually be able to see the coat hanger through the first 2 rings, between the first 2 rings of the input shaft. That is your torque converter clutch feed. Now if you put it into any of those 3 holes, that coat hanger, you should not be able to see that coat hanger through any of the feed holes between the rings. If you see a coat hanger between any of the other rings besides the first 2, that's telling us that the cup plug is missing from there, and that was causing our torque converter failure at that point.
Well, I wouldn't have thought of it, but I guess there's actually a good reason to have a coat hanger around.
Exactly, you know, sometimes you don't need a specialty tool to figure something out. Sometimes something just laying around, an extra part laying around, or in this case a coat hanger laying around, does the trick to figure this one out.
Yeah, good to keep that in mind. All right, well that's going to do it for this episode of the Builder's Bench. Be sure to tune in next time for more technical transmission tips. Thanks for watching.